Hi.
Hey, Elaine.
Every time
Uh,
we start
we
laughing.
always start this with laughter, which I love.
Right. Same.
We look at each other, the countdown happens, and
hmm
we laugh.
hmm
And I love the joy of that starting off the podcast.
Me too. It's funny. I
Oh,
don't know why it's funny. We were just talking about, I still get nervous. And I don't even know how many episodes we've done. We've done a handful, but I still get that, oh, okay.
I know. I
hmm
know. It's fun.
It
It's
is
fun.
fun.
I think that's your introvert showing
Yes.
a little
Probably.
bit. Like, oh my gosh, people are going to see me.
Right?
Yeah, well, as we talked about in the last episode, talking about the midheaven
hmm
being both of our midheaven being in Leo, we need to be seen, we need to be heard. Our
Yeah.
reputation, is
Yeah.
out there. So
Yeah.
here we are. All right. Well, this episode, we're going to be talking about words matter. And how did there was something that came up when we were in our planning session and we put this one on
Oh,
the
yeah.
list. Do you remember what that was?
I don't remember the specific thing, but it's just something that comes up so much. What was it? I do remember vaguely that something
Oh,
was
I know. I think I know what it was.
okay.
We had a group. We had one of I don't want to say what group we had because I don't want to call anybody out, right?
Mhm.
But we had a group and some of the people there, how they were talking about things was really interesting
Mhm.
because it wasn't necessarily favorable.
Right.
And yet they're trying to work through all this. Like, I'm being very careful in my words. Um, they they want to be in this very healed place, and yet their language about their own abilities and things was very limiting.
I feel like it's something that comes up a lot, whether it's in our groups or, at markets or in one-on-one sessions. I feel like
Uh-huh.
that's a very big underlying theme is that people just talk negative and they don't even know they're talking negative.
Right.
It's self-sabotage. It's talking negative about other people. It's gossiping. It's stuff like that people don't realize lowers your vibration
Uh-huh.
exponentially.
And it's the internal
Mm-hmm.
dialogue too.
Yeah.
It's the hamster on the wheel in the brain saying that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough,
Mm-hmm.
you're not, whatever.
Yeah.
Or that you're stupid, or that you can't believe that you did XYZ or whatever it was
Mm-hmm.
that was so embarrassing.
Yeah. And we think it's just like a flippant thought. And, everybody does it. Unfortunately, yes, a lot of people do that negative self-talk and that. But what a lot of people don't realize is that is creating the energy within your soul. That's creating the energy
Mhm.
within yourself. So now yourself is thinking, because your body doesn't know the difference between you just being sarcastic and negative or being positive. So now you're setting like the movie role, the
Mhm.
script
Yeah, that's
for
true.
what your brain says and what your brain thinks. And so if you think that you're always doing stuff wrong or you're always failing, then that's how you're going to feel.
Okay, now you just kind of called me out on one of my favorite dialects. Like, I am fluent in sarcasm. It was a survival
Mhm.
technique, and it's a go-to.
Yeah,
It's a
same.
go-to.
Mhm.
And people think you're kidding. You know,
No,
I'm going to
not so
leave that,
much.
in there because that is a place that sarcasm is a true statement on some level.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't believe it,
Mhm.
you wouldn't be saying it,
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
ouch. Oh, I got to
I
sit in
know.
that gravy for a little bit right there. That's,
Well, I just had a talk with my kids the other day, well, one of them, about the sarcasm thing. I am sarcastic. I grew up in the North. I feel like it's just our language up there.
uh-huh.
So then he starts with everything. Everything is our sarcastic answer, and part of it's funny, but part of it's like, "All right, let's not be so snarky. Can we not have a
Uh-huh.
conversation around stuff.
Now,
Yeah.
see, in my mind, I'm figuring out which one it is.
Oh, I think
Okay.
you know which one it is.
I know. And that's why I'm laughing on the inside. So I will not call them out here, but like I feel that.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. Yeah. Words, you touched on something. Your soul and your spirit are listening.
Mhm.
So your soul and your spirit are like the Google or the iPhone of your body,
Yep.
where stuff is going to drop into your living feed. Like if you were
Mhm.
your Facebook,
Yep.
by saying these things and hearing these things and receiving and believing the words that are said to you,
Mm.
those things drop into your life as your
Yep.
feed and they keep showing up.
Yep.
So I want to clean up my feed. Now, I have to say, and here's a funny thing, I'm going to use your chickens as an example. Okay. Because we've been talking about chickens since you
Mhm.
got the chicks, right?
Yep.
And another one of our people has chickens.
Mhm.
Okay. My social media feed is full of chicken references, dancing chickens,
Yeah.
chickens wearing hats, like chicken boots I got today, chicken boots.
Yes.
And I mean, it's funny. And that is a beautiful metaphor for how words show up. That happens in your life. So your self-talk, what you accept from other people shows up.
Mhm. It sets your algorithm.
It
Think about it like
does.
the Facebook algorithm, that's what you're feeding yourself. So, when you're literally watching your Facebook videos or the TikTok
Mhm,
feed and stuff like that, the more of a certain thing that you watch,
mhm,
and there's a lot of negative stuff that can come up. I feel like as a society, we feed into the dramatics, the,
mhm.
drama stuff, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened." And then the more we feed on into that, the more we get fed that. But that's not good for our soul.
It's
That doesn't
not.
make our soul peaceful, that makes our soul chaotic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and so as you mentioned the word algorithm, it also took me to the neurographic art because that is one way to clean up the algorithm,
Oh,
to
yeah.
clean up the negative thoughts because you take a thought and you put it on the paper, not in the words, but in the lines that you draw.
Right.
And then you smooth out the difficulties and you repattern that thought with new lines. It's a process and it's powerful and it's done without words, right? It's done without words. So it lands in the body differently and it clears it profoundly if
Okay.
you accept it. See,
Right.
that's the other thing.
Mhm.
Intentionality in the words, in the action, and accepting it.
Right.
Here's your
Mhm.
mission should you choose to accept it. It is
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yep. It's not tricking your body or your brain, but it kind of is into believing that stuff, into
Uh-huh.
feeling it. Because that's the other piece of the word piece. Like we can talk positivity and we can do our affirmations, but if we don't feel the worth of it or that we are worthy or that we are valuable, not going to
Yep.
set in. So I like that point of the neurographic art because it's not um like I had a client recently, we were talking about affirmations and they're like, when I say the affirmations, I just don't feel them.
Right.
So if you're struggling with that, something like neurographic art would be great because you're not actually saying them. You're
Right.
working through it in a different way in your brain.
Yeah,
So that's pretty cool.
that is.
Mhm.
That is really cool. Huh. Well, when you were talking about faking it, saying it and faking it, I the image I have is the original Miracle on 34th Street with Natalie Wood as the girl going, I believe, I believe, I believe. And she doesn't believe.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
She's trying to talk herself into believing. Now, how many things in your world, in your life, have you tried to make yourself believe, positive or negative,
Yeah.
and, fake it till you feel it? No,
Mhm.
no,
No.
no.
This is where that
Uh,
that shadow work comes in. Like, why aren't you feeling it? What's the root
Uh-huh.
of the cause? What's the root of not being able to manifest this?
Right.
There's usually a
Yeah.
block there.
Yeah.
Sometimes from your words, from your thoughts.
Yeah. Your own thoughts. Like, I can blame everyone in my exterior world for the stuff that is my life.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I need to look in the mirror and say, well, I'm attracting these people out here
Yep.
to show me what I need to clean up.
Yeah.
And why do I accept the words from other people?
Mhm.
Would I want somebody talking to my kid that way, that I let some people talk to me? Would I let them talk to my mother, my grandmother that way? Would
Right.
I let them talk to my best friend that way?
Uh-huh.
No, I would not. I would cut that person off at the knees. So why am I accepting it for myself?
Mhm.
Because I talk to myself that way.
Yep. I was just gonna say that. That's because that's how we talk to ourselves. And the same thing.
Right.
If you listen to the way that you talk to yourself, would you talk to your kid, your best friend that
Uh-huh.
way? We're supposed to be our most valued person. So we
I
should talk
talk
to
nicer
it.
to my dog than I talk to myself most days. Lana gets light and love all the time.
Well, you talk
And
to your dog a lot nicer than you talk to pretty much anybody, I would say.
well, because I know what her trauma is, right?
Right.
She's a tender soul.
And that's okay. But
Yeah.
think about that. Yeah. Think about how you talk to your animals.
I think you just called me out on talking to other people a little bit harsh. No, just kidding.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, but it is a challenge. Like, I mean, that is really truthful.
Hmm.
Okay. So, being that I was schooled in sarcasm and I was schooled in directness, okay,
Hmm.
I've I've worked to soften my edges, and okay, at the same time, this is a hard one. This is a hard one because uh okay, the velvet glove is coming back, the firm hand in the velvet glove is coming back. Sometimes the harsh is what's needed, or the directness is needed, or the message needs to come forward.
Yes.
And maybe that message really just needs to be internal. So it's
Hmm.
not necessarily for the person who I think needs to hear the message, but it may be for myself.
Hmm. Yes.
So softening it with that nice glove
Hmm.
uh, gives the delivery, you know,
Yes.
a little bit more ease. The intentionality of speaking from the heart space. We've both had to deliver messages to one another that have been uh, needed
Y-
and a lot,
Yeah.
maybe, but they were useful and we were ready to do the work. Not everyone is ready for what you think,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's something that wants to come through.
Yeah.
I guess what it's bringing to mind for me is that the words matter piece isn't about um, being nice and caring and fluffy all the time. You have to be real too. Like it's not all love, light, and rainbows. But when you have those hard moments, whether it's with yourself or somebody else, have grace with the energy
Yes.
and softening those edges, like you said. Trying to think of like this is a conversation I have with my kids over and over again about the words matter thing. And, like one of them is like, I feel like I'm going to fail my test. I'm going to fail my test. Has he ever failed a test? No. But having that feeling, and I tell him all the time, like look at yourself. Really look at yourself truthfully because truthfully, you're probably not going to fail this test. Do you feel like you're not ready? Did you not study enough? Probably. Those are harsh truths. But does that
Mm,
mean that it's the dramatic end that you're going to fail the test? Not necessarily.
right. And there's a piece there with that example that comes in. And I think that this is where the words matter and the negative self talk comes in. Because for some of us, we were trained that our feelings didn't matter, that either we were over emotional, definitely over emotional, either teary or angry,
Mhm.
whichever way. And so that your feelings didn't matter, and they're just feelings, so it doesn't mean anything,
Right.
but it does, because the feeling initiates the self-talk or the expression and the belief.
Mhm.
The biology of belief, if you if you think you're being chased by a tiger, your body is going to kick off the adrenaline and the other chemicals to save your life.
Right.
And we operate in a world that we think there are so many tigers that are chasing. And where we live in North Carolina,
No.
we don't have tigers.
No. Maybe an
We have some
alligator,
other
but
things, but we're not getting chased by tigers. And yet we live that way.
yeah, that's a great example on how the body reacts to what you think and what you feed it and what you tell it, because
Mhm.
that's so true. That's awesome. Yeah, I like that example.
Our anxiety,
Yeah.
test
Yeah.
anxiety, performance anxiety, money anxiety,
Social anxiety.
social anxiety. Yeah, like fill in the blank
Yeah.
anxiety. And
Yep.
how much is really true
Mhm.
with anxiety?
Yeah.
And I'm not dissing people who have anxiety. I have anxiety.
No, yeah, same. All
Uh,
Most of it is in our mind. It's again, the overthinking. So how do you rewire your brain to think about other stuff? How do
mhm.
you rewire your brain to focus on the positive instead of the negative? Those are the steps that we're working on, but that we want others to try and work on too when they're in that spiral loop. And we know it's hard because we've both been through that, and there are times when we can't stop it, but acknowledging it and working with it. Yeah.
Lily agrees,
Yeah.
apparently, because you turned red. I'm in a holiday movie reference for some reason. I have no idea, but here we
Okay.
go.
Mhm.
I had the image of Kevin from Home Alone
Mhm.
standing at the top of the stairs, yelling at the furnace to shut up because, he was afraid to go down the basement,
Right.
afraid to do his shadow work. There it
Mhm.
is. He was afraid to do his shadow work. It was scary down there.
Yeah.
It's dark, scary,
Mhm.
and the furnace makes a lot of noise. He's by himself for a couple of days. He's having to do his laundry, having to do all these things, and the
Mhm.
thing makes a noise and he tells it to shut up.
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes that's what we have to do with our internal dialogue is we need to tell it to shut up
Yep.
because it's not serving us.
Mhm.
You're not
Yeah.
helping,
No. I like
you
that.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kevin McAllister, one of my favorite movies.
That's funny. I used to watch that one a lot. Yeah, I did like that one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see on my notes here. Intention setting. You touched on it a little bit, but intention setting, why doesn't it work? Like people go, well, I do it all the time, but it doesn't work.
Oh, the affirmations and stuff like that?
Affirmations and,
Yeah. It's
you
because
know,
psychologically in our brains, if we are not feeling where that comes from, like, in our body, if we're not having, because our
Mhm,
everything is connected, emotional, spiritual, physical, like, it's all the
mhm,
same system, just different pathways. So the more that you can align those pathways. So I feel like the first step is kind of creating that intention and that affirmation.
mhm.
So then connecting to it, speaking it, but then how do you feel it? So
Yeah.
you do practices like self-worth practices. Like I am worthy, I am, and then that's where the shadow work comes in. You feel, you say I am worthy and you're like, where does it feel tense? Where does it feel?
Mhm,
Yeah, exactly. What do I need to explore there? And then once you clear that up and then you start really feeling it in your gut that you are worthy, and then you start
mhm.
attracting those things into your life. Those things that
Right.
show you that you are worthy because you know, we started this about words matter, but so does connecting to those words and feeling those words.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a yes and.
Mm,
It's a yes and.
yeah.
Oh, the Heart Center, Heart Math
Mhm.
Institute has been coming up a lot. And I think it's because Google was listening and it's been dropping it into my feed that there is more information coming from your heart center out to your body than from your brain.
Okay.
So your brain is a place that's creating the thoughts,
Mhm.
but the sensorial energy, your soul seat, your spirit seat lives in the heart center.
Okay.
So if you can run your thoughts through your heart center, kind of let
Mhm.
it take the elevator down to the heart and then come back up to the throat center
Yep.
and allow your words that you speak be your truth
Mhm.
from the heart, you can align and empower your purpose and stand more firmly in who you are.
Mhm.
Okay. And that sounds like such a daunting challenge. Uh, Almost a little Pollyannish, like, can that really work? But it can,
Yeah.
because your soul is seated in the center of your being. And to put it into action, you have to use the vehicle of your body and of your words to bring it forward.
Mhm.
So, purpose, like we talked about in the feng shui
Mhm.
episode, is grounded at the base, okay,
Yeah.
through your passion for your life.
Mhm.
So, you're, to live your passion, you have to align your words.
Mhm. I like that. I never thought about, and I do this work a lot, about connecting the brain to the heart. And then even the sacral chakra came in there too, like
Hmm.
connecting that whole pathway.
Right.
So it's almost like I'm getting the image of like your instincts, your
Uh huh.
gut feeling. So when you're talking those words, the negative self-talk, feel it in your gut. Is that right or is that wrong? Like how does that make you feel? If it doesn't make you feel like awesome, fire, passion in a good way, it makes you feel like that, oh, my belly hurts.
Yeah.
It's probably not good for you. So
Right.
how do you change
Right.
that? So check
Yeah.
in with that gut and then filter it through your heart and then your head. Because we spend so
Yeah.
much time in just the headspace, just thinking and rethinking and the hamster wheel, like you said. So think about filtering it through the other systems. I like that.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Well, your unhealed ego lives in your head. Okay. The ego is a useful tool for survival and for knowing. However, the unhealed ego is the one that gets you into trouble
Yep.
all the time.
Mhm.
And in the human design world, the mind should be the passenger in the vehicle, not the driver. The heart should be the driver.
Yes.
Your design should be the driver, not your brain.
Mhm.
Okay. But we, as a culture, put so much emphasis on knowledge living in the brain,
Yep.
and it's funny. I'm wearing my neurospicy shirt today with the brain. Um, and it takes up so much space to think all the things that we think,
Mhm.
as opposed to allowing ourselves to feel into this experience of being alive
Yep.
and feeling into our purpose and our spirit, aligning those words with why we're here.
Yes.
Huh.
I like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, all right. Well, is there anything else you want to add for this one? I almost feel like we need to pause for a moment, eh, do the do a little gasho meditation from
Yep.
Reiki.
Mm.
So, listeners, if you don't know what gasho is, it's basically that you put your hands in prayer position, palms together, and the thumbs of your hands come to your heart center, and just breathe for a minute and allow yourself to receive all that you are and be willing to stand in that energy of all that you are, because you were divinely made
Mhm.
with a purpose specific that only you can do. Oh.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful.
Mhm. All right. Well, love and light. And I mean that one.
Yeah. I feel like I wanna give some homework.
Okay.
This
Bring
is
it.
coming in that it really hit me when you were talking about the society thing and how we live so much in our heads, put our emotions aside so much. We're taught not to feel or to feel later or it's inappropriate to feel. So anybody that's watching or listening, I feel like if you could take 2 minutes a day just to connect in with yourself and with how you're feeling, no matter what that is. If it's bad, if it's tense, if it's anxious, if it's happy, or every time you have a big emotion come in or come up, like connect to that feeling. And there's something else that wants to come in, it's not coming in. Do you have it?
I do, I think. So take whatever that feeling is and bring it to that gasho position, bring it to
Mhm.
your heart center and ask, is it true? Is it true?
Like that. Yep.
And just allow yourself to feel the feeling because, truth be told, feelings only last 30 to 90 seconds as long as you don't keep them on the hamster wheel. Like if you got mad or angry, you stay angry because you keep replaying the story over and over in your head. The initial flare
Mhm.
of anger, the flash, is just a moment.
Yep.
If we would accept the emotion for what it is, it's in motion
Yeah.
and let it keep moving,
Mhm.
right? Then it allows you to be authentically you without getting caught on the hamster wheel and feeding the anger monster.
Mhm.
I mean, on the flip side of joy, the same thing is true there, right?
Yeah.
So, and the elated feeling is only going to last 30 to 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever it is. It fizzles out unless you keep going, wow, that was really great. Oh my God, did you see that? That was fantastic. I
Yeah.
loved it. Oh, you know?
Yeah.
So just acknowledging the feeling for what it is and allow yourself to have it and then filter it through the heart and
Mm,
ask, is it true? Is it
mhm,
necessary? That anxiety,
mhm,
test anxiety. Am I ready? Am I ready for my test?
mhm. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause like I tell my kids, like, it's too late. Like, there is the only outcome is the outcome. So the more positive energy you can put into it and good feelings and intention that you can put into it, the better it's gonna be. So that's the only thing that you can do in this moment.
Okay. So rephrase or refresh. The homework is to feel your feelings
Yeah.
and
Connect
what?
into them. Connect into
Connect
them
to your,
and then filter it through your heart. What are you feeling? And then you want to bring it into your heart space and ask, is it true? And then sit with that. Sit with what comes up with that. Does it bring up other feelings? And try and stay out of your head while you're doing this. Just simply feel from your heart. Don't think about it. Don't replay. Don't rehash. Don't overthink it. Feel it. Yeah, train your body to feel. I know that sounds so backwards.
hey, I was a somatic practitioner for 15, 18 years.
Mhm.
I'm with you. Feel
Yeah,
it.
I feel like, yes, the more we can just feel these emotions and process them, however that is, like everybody's lashing out right now, I feel like, a lot of people are. And it's because they have these emotions and they just keep playing over and over and over and over again. If we could just feel and release and move on.
Yeah. Catch and release, baby.
Right.
It's like fishing. Throw the
Yeah,
small ones back. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think we can leave that one there
I think so.
until next time. Yeah.